Welcome, 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 and thank you for spending some of your time with us. My name is Tina Rosenquist, and this is Knowledge for Wellness. And this show is to enhance your overall understanding of information provided to you. Because when you know more, you are empowered to make better decisions, to enhance yourself and your loved ones for a better quality of life. And knowledge is power. And today's topic is on geriatric care management. And bringing us this great information is Chris Austin. But it sounds like before I put a loved one into, your hands, I'd really like to have you explain to my viewers some of the training, some of the specifics, and the qualifications that they have.
Well, I'm one of just a few geriatric care managers in the Twin Cities area who is certified nationally by the National Association of Professional Geriatric Care Managers.
Okay.
Most geriatric care managers have an educational background in health or human services. So they may be social workers, registered nurses, occupational therapists, psychologists, or individuals with a gerontology degree.
Okay.
So some educational background in that related field. Additionally, most geriatric care managers have a wide and deep breadth of work and knowledge and a specific skill set in not only working with the elderly, but in case management or care management with that specific experience.
Okay. So it sounds like they're very highly trained for a lot of variable people. And when you go in, do you also meet with the whole family as well? Do you look at one family member's need versus a sister or sibling where they may not always agree on what's best for mom or what's best for dad either, but you take the whole family in as a whole as well, correct?
Yes, oftentimes our work with the elderly involves work as a family unit.
Right.
Very often the elderly individual may not feel as though they can afford the services or they need the services, but it's the adult children who again are working or have their own children or grandchildren they're caring for, and so they're very much willing to help subsidize the payment for care management services.
Okay.
So it's a family effort, absolutely.
Yeah, and what a great way to reassure them as well, to make it a family effort with that in regards to the services that the parents actually receive. So in talking with the families, with the adult children as well, can you go into more detail about how this would benefit the families and the elderly as well?
Sure.
Okay.
There are a number of different ways in which care management can benefit elderly individuals and their families.
Okay.
I can think of how it provides cost savings to elderly individuals and their families. A lot of times when elderly individuals are in and out of the hospital, experiencing frequent hospitalizations or frequent trips to urgent care or the emergency room, there are duplicative labs, duplicative tests, and procedures that are done. So when a care manager becomes involved with that individual, they sort of stay on top of these procedures and tests and things that are being done so that there isn't duplication. And while insurance oftentimes pays for a majority of these things, there's always out-of-pocket costs to the consumer. So it can ultimately save that consumer money.
Sure.
Research also demonstrates that when care management teams are involved with individuals, very often their quality of life improves. They find that they're making less trips to the doctor. They're not in need of specialty care. They may have less falls or catastrophic events in the home. They might experience fewer hospitalizations and trips to the emergency room. So their overall medical, cognitive, emotional quality of life greatly improves as a result of that. But I think the most important benefit that families and individuals experience with care management is a reduction in stress.
Oh, sure, because they have someone that cares for them as well. So that sounds really, very personal.
And
that little touch.
Right, they know
love,
that someone is there to provide peace of mind and support their elderly loved one through crisis and to act proactively to avoid those crises.
Yeah. And what I love is, you have someone there, maybe they had an x-ray, and they can take that x-ray that they had done, even, because then it would save them the additional time to have that x-ray and the copay. Now you're talking about copay, let alone even your time.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so, and well, let's say, I know when I kind of got involved with my mother-in-law, I kind of stepped in a little bit. She was really resistant to having extra help. So how is it that you would help an elderly maybe that was saying that she did not need the extra help? Is there a guideline that you use on that?
That's a very good question, and I'm glad that you asked that, because it's very common that elderly individuals don't perceive the value in this service, don't feel as though they need help, and or don't feel as though they can afford supportive services in their home. And I think that's the last person they want to have tell them this, that they do need services or they do need help, is their children.
Sure.
So very often having a professional or just a third person come in and take a look at things, explain things to them in a way that they can understand them, helps to facilitate them accepting and receiving help. Kind of like how the doctor of this generation is very well respected, and so many times elderly individuals will do what the doctor recommends.
Yes.
Very often they'll do what the care manager recommends as
Okay.
well.
That's good, yes. Because they have been the caretaker for their children for so many years that it's hard to do the reversal role as well.
That's right. So sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't work. In the event it doesn't work and the elderly individual has the capacity to make decisions for themselves and they decide they don't want help, then what families and loved ones can do is just equip themselves with resources and with knowledge. So perhaps making contact with the care manager to determine what resources might be available to them in the event there's a crisis. Maybe to introducing the care manager to their loved one, just so they know who they are and could be on standby in the event that an event happens where they do need to get involved. The more resources that family members and loved ones have and are equipped with, the more choices they'll have if a crisis occurs.
Yes. When the situation happened with me and I wanted to take my mother-in-law out of the apartment that she was very comfortable in because she had made quite a few friends. And I said, oh, let's just go sneak a peek. And they always really process a lot of things. And,
sometimes these things take time, and there's no harm in having the conversation and continuing to talk about it. So you may make a suggestion and it might not go over real well, but allow your loved one a chance to process that.
Sure.
Giving them as many choices as possible and allowing them to be part of those decisions, I think can help. And then broaching the subject again and again and again in the future, and let the process evolve over time.
Yeah, and let them think, not only think it through, but also getting the siblings involved as well, and reassuring that they're going to visit her, and making her feel comfortable, or him, the father, too, as well. Yeah.
That's right. I encourage my clients and their families to keep folders with phone numbers and resources. Know what's available in your loved one's community. That can greatly help when the time comes to allowing them choices, helping them to be part of that decision, and to making good informed decisions. Well, thank you, Tina, for inviting me into your studio and allowing me to talk a little bit about geriatric care management. So many consumers, adult children, and elderly individuals don't even realize that such a service exists to them. And I talk with so many families who are overwhelmed and not sure what even questions to ask of professionals. I'm happy always to answer questions, point families in the right direction, and provide support and encouragement to them, as well as to offer free consultations to them to allow them to get to know me and to see if care management would be a good fit prior to commencing services. So I welcome your feedback and questions, and feel free to give me a call or visit mylifecarellc.com.